Hello, guys, and welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight on Late Night Live. It's been a while since we've done a live stream, so I'm thrilled some of you can join us, and even if you can't, well, you can always watch the replay when it becomes available. Tonight we have the usual suspects and a very special guest on the show. And like most live streams, you'll often see four guys and grown men gatekeeping and waffling on about their opinions, but we are proud to have an ever-revolving door of individuals who endeavor to bring you entertainment, insight, and positivity in all our collecting. So without any further ado, let's welcome our panel members. First, we have Transformer fanatic, team producer, my voice of reason, Jason Murray. So Jason's going to join us.
That sounds like a lovely intro. That was very nice. Thank you. I'll take that.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
So good that you can join us and moderate tonight as well. So next we have toy connoisseur, toy reel aficionado, and a man who has been known to order complete pallets of toys, my dear friend Simon Flack. Simon, thank you for joining us as well.
Welcome, gentlemen. What a lovely intro. You're a natural.
Yeah, thank you. And our special guest for tonight, a man who possibly, I think, loves every toy out there, is passionate about collecting, and is probably one of the biggest Marvel fanboys that I know. Our good old Craig Moore. Is that Craig's on? Craig, you there? I'm sure you're there.
Yeah, Craig.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Excellent. Welcome, gentlemen. So good to see you guys again. Good to see you guys again. I know it's been a while since we've done a live stream episode, so we've been busy here producing a lot of internal content, primarily a lot of photographic projects, and perhaps reduced a lot of the toy news reporting. And there's a lot of people doing that now, so we thought we want to show something tonight, which is I'm really excited about. And tonight's agenda is quite simply really all about the Sentinel. I want to show you how much and how highly anticipated this figure, and perhaps maybe discuss the pros and the cons and ascertain if it's the right thing for you guys to buy or not. But more importantly, if it's something you can justify and enjoy regardless of the price tag. So guess what, guys? Here is the big boy.
That's not. We don't want me up there. We want Clinton. There we go.
There he is.
Look at that. Look at that.
So
Look at that.
that's the big guy.
Oh.
The big guy.
He only just fits on screen.
He does only just fit on screen.
He's only a little smaller than you.
He's probably the size of a small toddler, actually. I kid you not. He comes up to about the size of probably the size of my. I'm a pretty short kind of guy, so he comes up to like my hip or something. So yeah.
I've seen a lot of very fun photos online with people dressing him up like a toddler and sending him off to school, even putting a backpack on him. It's really cool.
I've seen him on scooters, riding scooters.
So let's talk about the figure, guys. It's something that I think, in my opinion, has been highly anticipated. I know there has been talk about it. We're quite blessed to get the first of the very many that are shipped out. And I'll let Jason explain. I mean, we got this through a different means. I know Zing are getting it through their local channels here, but I'm thrilled. I'm really thrilled. And having this in hand, I have to say I'm very impressed. Now, whether or not it's worth the $700 price tag locally, that's something we can discuss later on. But so far, so good. So what do you guys think, looking at it prior to the stream today as well? I know we did chat a bit about it. Tell me, what do you want to know?
He's so gorgeous and purple. It's just so
it's really so shiny and multiple shades of purple. Yeah.
It has like a metallic sheen to it. I mean, the detail on here is just simply stunning. What can I say? You have. We'll go through some of the accessories that come with the thing as well. Fortunately, I don't have any, and so that we don't get the question, I don't have any knee problems. Okay, on this particular figure. So
no, we know you don't, but does the Sentinel?
Yeah, it has the Sentinel.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't actually. So it's a pretty good thing. It's a pretty heavy guy. He's probably about 1.2 kilos, I think. So that's a hefty sort of sizable weight to it. There are multiple articulation points for a fairly large figure of this size. I love the fingers. I love the sculpt. And we will talk about the sculpt in a minute. But is there anything else you guys want to talk about quickly or say, Craig, before?
Can he make a decent fist? Like, some figures with lots of articulated fingers, you try to make a fist and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, let's just see if we can do that. I'll be safe to say that he does, because all the fingers are extremely, there you go, super
good.
and hyper articulated.
He's got the kind of articulation that I actually wish they would have put on the Haslab Unicron figure that came out earlier this year.
Right.
Absolutely, I agree. The one thing though, the one thing that the larger Transformers figures do have, which I think perhaps maybe the Hasbro team could borrow, is ratchets on joints. Unfortunately, this doesn't have ratchets.
What's the weight distribution like on him? Like, if you wanted to stand it on one leg, for example, is it easy enough to do, or is it very precarious?
I haven't tried it, but as far as I'm concerned, even like standing him now, he's very sturdy, so he balances really well. The weight distribution overall is quite even. I haven't tried the one leg stance. I will probably pose him at some point for a photograph, but I can't imagine it wouldn't be hard, it would be difficult to do. Mind you, I have to say, the guy did take a tumble off this table, I think several nights ago, and I'm happy to report that he's still in good shape. So yeah, pretty well done actually.
Did he make a dent in the floor?
I don't think so. Luckily,
Did he
luckily
destroy
was
any
carpet.
X-Men who were below him?
Yeah, was it actually like a suicide dive?
Good question. I have no idea. No, I think the floor. I think the floor survived, but more importantly, the figure did survive. So, but I mean, look at the sculpt. It's amazing. It's wonderfully sculpted. I mean, the amount of tooling I think that probably it took to do this figure as well is pretty mind blowing. It's a pity. I mean, I'll probably get Jason to perhaps throw some images on later on to show some of the close-ups. It really, I mean, I was thinking of actually doing like a B cam and show you different parts of the body, but it's just such a massive figure. And besides, there are countless videos online that you'll see where they're like in-depth reviews of the figure anyway. But I think more importantly, the purpose of our panel tonight is just to show, or like I said, ascertain whether or not this is the thing for you to buy, So it's quite nice. There you go. Jason's thrown up a couple of close-up images that we took earlier today. And yeah, I mean, the color doesn't do it justice. It's hard, particularly on screen all the time when you're looking through a computer screen. But the color actually is quite stunning.
I feel like the color looks stunning in all of the photos. Like it's very attractive.
Can we just bring up Rob Franklin's last comment there, Jace?
We can. Give me a second. Can it be modified so as to put lights in the eyes and chest? Clinton, this might be the time to push the button.
Okay, so Rob, to answer your question, it does actually do this. So when I turn it on, it does flip to different colors. It's an option whether it's a single press or a dual press. It comes in various colors like green, a slight magenta, and also a red. And I think also an orange. My favorite really is the long press, which then changes to a nice bright red, and that will stay on awesome. For as long as you want to until you power down the unit again. So this, I think, by the way, Craig, do the lights actually, are they in the comics? Are they actually red, or what sort of hue color are they?
It depends on the Sentinel. Like that's one of those things that has changed from artist to artist. They've been red, blue, yellow. I would argue that red is probably the definitive one, because I'm pretty sure that's what it was in the animated series as well. So I think that the red eyes and the red circle is like that. If I had to choose, that's what I would have picked as the color, certainly.
I feel like the red is sort of the color that you see when the light is off as well. So like it's a red light, but you can also sort of overpower that with other colors if you wanted to.
Look, yeah, I think that having that option is really good. Now, quickly, on the subject of lights, actually, Rob, now we're talking, since Rob has asked that question, what I did do was that for those of you guys that are waiting on the Sentinel or will buy it, and it's funny because Simon and I were having a bit of a joke about this. I decided, well, first of all, it takes 2 AAA batteries, okay? And there's actually a hatch that you can use a Phillips screwdriver. There you go, it's on screen right now. Then you can actually cover that battery compartment with a cover. Well, what you can also do is leave that cover off. It's not like the batteries will dislodge anyway, and simply just click the panel back on again. So that's what I've done if I decide that I want to change my batteries frequently. The boys were joking with me earlier today saying, my gosh, why don't you just screw it back on? How many times do you have to change the battery? Well, considering the fact that I do like taking photos and I leave the lights on for quite a substantial amount of time, it makes complete sense for me to leave the battery door off and just put the panel back on. So it's, you know what I mean?
However you want to justify it.
Yeah, however you want to justify it.
I
Just to be
believe
clear as
Simon's
well,
specific joke was that we're over 40, and therefore we all have a Phillips head screwdriver immediately at our hand.
If you're over 40 and you can't reach a Phillips head screwdriver, then something's gone wrong with your life.
I've got mine right here.
Yeah.
Also, just to be clear, it is 2 AAA batteries that go in the back, and they do not ship in it. So if you don't actually unbox the guy, you're not going to have any battery leakage issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we got a lot of comments. Oh, hey, good day, Kyle Westling. Hey, Chuck. Hey, Andrew. Christopher Steffo, really nice of you to join us. How are you going today? Kyle. Woo, Craig. There you go. You got a big fan there, Craig.
Well, Dave Gibbons is my daughter and her friends currently watching at my friend's at their house. She's on a sleepover tonight for someone else in our complex. And so her and her friends and their dad are watching. So hi, Amelia.
So it's not the artist from Watchmen. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
There is a very important question
maybe.
There is a very important viewer question that we need to address. Does it come with a Doctor Doom head?
Okay, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't, but it came with the equivalent of a Doctor Doom head, and we were going to actually talk about accessories, but this is what Craig coined as the Sentinel version of the Doctor Doom head, and that's the Tri-Sentinel head where you have there. So so that's
the reason
Tri-Sentinel.
that's the Doctor Doom head is that in the comics, the Tri-Sentinel does not look like a regular Sentinel, and so the head just doesn't fit this figure. So it's like no one's going to display it, or very few people. I won't say no one. Very few people are going to display it with that. The equivalent being
future diorama piece.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
The
Is it possible? Is it possible? Is it possible that we're going to get maybe a Tri-Sentinel with multiple arms and legs? I don't know.
I mean,
no. I doubt it.
Wow, we're pretty down on that.
He just turned up in Amazing Spider-Man for like a here and there. He's not like a regular thing. I don't think he even fought the X-Men. I could be wrong.
No, he has. Yeah, he has a few times. Yeah.
We got another question from Rob Franklin. Do you want to put that up, Jason?
There are several from Rob, but I was going to put this one up, which is, did it arrive all in one piece, or was there some assembly required?
Yes, that's the one I was looking at. It arrived all in one piece. There you go.
All in one piece, yeah.
So in the styrofoam, and sorry, I'm probably confused a lot of people saying that this is an unboxing. We all decided as a team that we would just really unbox it because, like I said, it's simply just, it was all in one piece in a massive box, as you can see the box behind me, and we will talk about that in a minute. But yes, it basically came in one piece with all the accessories in separate compartments within the styrofoam case.
We saved you the sound of styrofoam squeaking as we opened it out of a box.
I would also like to think that the decision to unbox him and just show the figure in detail was in part due to my Unicron unboxing video earlier in the year, in which it was about 20 minutes of us standing around scratching our heads trying to figure out how to put the damn thing together.
There was nothing wrong. That was really good. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. That's the whole fun.
So Unicron came in pieces. What about the sail barge? Did that come in pieces, or was that all in one?
No, it was all pretty much in one as well. Majority of the sail barge came in one piece. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that means they'll probably, because I was wondering because Galactus, the next Haslab, for those who may not know, the next Haslab is Galactus, who's even bigger than the Sentinel, and I wondered if they'd split it up, but it sounds like they haven't done that yet, so they probably won't on that either. No,
I suspect not. I suspect it'll be very much like the Sentinel with sort of shipping in styrofoam. So Unicron did not actually ship in parts, but like you needed to assemble the stand and then put him on it in order to, and the instructions were pretty bad. Clinton, have you looked at instructions for this guy? Is there an instruction booklet, or does it just sort of...
No, there isn't. As far as I'm concerned, when I looked, I mean, if there is an instruction book in the box, I was so excited I probably forgot about it.
Instructions.
Yeah, there probably were like some leaflets saying that this item is, I think, FFC approved or some electronics thing. It was just for a safety thing. We actually have, Andrew was saying, he 100% agrees, ratchet joints are must on these weightier figures. He did get a chance to see this in the flesh as well, and we both agreed that it does really need ratchet joints. So for those of you guys that are getting and receiving one, but look, as far as I'm concerned, it's still very sturdy. Just so you can hear, I will bend the knees. The knees are pretty good. You don't hear the ratchets because there are none, but again, they're quite poseable, quite hefty. So yeah, I think it would have been a nice touch had they put some ratchets in there, for sure. That's what Andrew was saying.
They've even detailed the bottom of the feet there. Like the feet have boot jets detailed on them.
Oh, I would expect that.
Oh,
there's going
to
be so many photos that show the foot of these guys trying to stand on
true.
Popular characters.
That's true. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think Carl said that. What did he say? I heard that standing on both legs had some issues. No way you can see there, Kyle. There's no issues whatsoever.
You're holding him, so I think let him go.
Dun, dun, dun. He stands.
He stands. Hopefully, Andrew said, hopefully there'll be ratchets on Galactus. I do hope so, actually.
I would hope so as well, given that he's going to be an even larger figure.
I saw someone on Instagram today, and I don't have it up, so I apologize for not being able to shout out who had the Sentinel on one foot, the other foot down on top of Colossus, and Colossus like crouched under it, holding his foot up, and it was all balanced perfectly. Like it was just freestanding. So I'm like, if it can do that, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to quickly sing out to a good friend of mine, all the way from Maryland in Maryland, USA, Christopher Pinkerton. Chris runs a wonderful dio making business called Crashbox Customs, and he said, "Don't touch him like that." I don't know what you mean, but anyway, hi, Chris.
Oh, I think I do. I think he's referring to where your hands go.
I'm sorry. Actually, who else?
Christopher just asked Christopher Stefan below. He asked about the bottom of the feet lighting up. They don't. Only the chest and the eyes.
Yeah. And to answer the other question about, I think Rob's question about maybe also having lights in the hands, I don't know why. Maybe it would have been a cost issue as well, and having all the wires in there and having all the articulation in there as well probably wouldn't have been, probably a bit more counterintuitive to try and put lights in the hands.
Yeah, all the electronics are pretty much contained to the chest and essentially the neck, I believe, is it? Because there's no actual lights in the head because you can change the outer head. No, I think there was a question from Kyle asking if the head has a hole in the bottom of the other head. It does because you can actually change the head.
It's literally just a transparent ball joint, isn't it? That lights up.
It is. Yeah. It is. Shall I just try and see? Okay,
behead the Sentinel. Behead the Sentinel,
and hopefully I'm not going to break the damn sucker. Well, I did take him off before.
How hard is this to get off? Like, is it a struggle? Or?
Let's all watch.
You can see. Oh, there we go. Off.
Show us the ball joint without the.
Yeah. Can you actually power it on while you got the head off?
I will. I'll power it on right now. Just give me a second. I'll just get in position.
He looks like he's an extra from Beetlejuice now.
I was thinking he kind of looked like a 50s robot.
Yeah, he does. He does. You need to put the dome over him. He can be from the Return of the Forbidden Planet.
So there you go.
Will Robinson. Yeah, nice.
Will Robinson is a mutant.
Yeah.
The one thing. So what you will see on that section there is a small opening. The only fundamental issue about the light piping in here with some of the heads is that if you turn the head slightly left or right without centering and twisting the neck joint, you're only going to get the light coming through out one eye, and that's my only bugbear as far as this figure is concerned. So you actually have to twist the whole neck section like that if you want to basically pose the figure. But if you just twist the head on the ball joint, it blocks. You can see it's a small opening here. So I just kind of wish they made it maybe like a 360 clear thing all around, but I don't know why they didn't do that. Yeah, it's bizarre.
Kyle wants to see the bottom of the head to see how big the hole is.
I don't know what Kyle's got in mind for that head.
Yeah, I know,
There you go,
right?
Kyle. That's
Is
the
that enough?
bottom of the head. That's
so you can see it just sort of it fits over the sort of the giant ball joint, as we were saying, and the light comes out towards the front.
Right.
yeah.
I do like the fact that there's actually some detailing on the inside of that head that no one's ever going to see.
You know what? You picked it up so well. I mean, god damn, you got sharp eyes. Let's have a look on that. See, look at the
Oh wow, there's all wires and stuff.
yes.
Well, That's awesome.
See that's cool because you may end up using that in a photo as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if you're that way inclined, like I think Craig is, you can certainly paint a lot of the wiring in here as well. I mean, if you look at the wiring here on the torso as well as abdomen area, that's really well done actually. So yeah, you could do the same thing. Absolutely.
There is a leading question that's come in from Facebook.
Okay.
Ramel Vargas has asked, do you have plans to acquire more? It would look good with Master Mold, then 2 other Sentinels flanking him.
Why
Funny
stop
you
at
should
2?
mention this.
Yeah. Now, Clint's embarrassed about this, and I don't think he should be.
No, be proud.
Be proud.
Oh well, not if my wife is actually watching.
So it's okay. We've actually banned her from the page. Go on.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, look, I can speak for someone. If you want to buy one and just use one as Master Mold, by all means do it, because you can have this as the Master Mold figure, and we'll show you with the head sculpt later on. But I want to allude quickly to the old Toy Biz Sentinels that we have here. So you can, if you have multiples of these, which I do have a lot of, this would be a good or cheaper way of using this main guy, this big guy, bad boy here as Master Mold, and then having all these Toy Biz Sentinels. Now, they're not really colored the same way, but like I said, if you're inclined that way, you could possibly give it, a nice metallic paint job to try and maybe fit the others. But I think in photographs, you can get away with it. So, yeah. But saying that, I bought just a couple more, if that answers your question.
There's really no definitive way to say how many more he's bought because he's refusing. And I'm tempted to call him, but I won't.
Look, no one can tell you how many Sentinels Clinton's going to acquire. You have to experience it for yourself.
That's right.
What is it? Ashtray?
Look, you'll find an answer very soon in some of the photos that will turn up in Toy Reel.
I was going to say, yeah. It'll be pretty obvious.
Kyle has also clarified why he's interested in the hole at the bottom of the spare head, which is one word: ashtray.
Ashtray.
He doesn't even smoke.
Yeah, it's an item that he provides to guests outside his shop.
Hopefully outside.
Okay. Well, on that note, there are a couple other things. Oh, by the way, quickly before we move on to some of the other accessories that came on, there are little things bits here that you evidently can remove and screw and tighten your knee joints if you want to. I know that, what's his name on Fush? Craig, help me out here. What's his name? Yeah. He did that because he had some loose knee joints, but you certainly can do that. Like I said, mine's fine.
The grey bits are just like a little plastic cover. You put a blade or Phillips head in, just pop it off, tighten the screw a little bit, and pop it back on. It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as we're aware, that seems to be the fix that people have been applying to Sentinels that have knees. It's just they just need to tighten it a little bit.
Yeah. Just for some of you guys too, to improve the flexibility and also the posability of the figure, all this stuff here is, like I said, a nice sort of hard ABS plastic. However, the trunk section here as well as the thigh pads are slightly a softer type of plastic, which makes complete sense. So if you want to then pose and do your splits and so on and so forth, that's like a softer type of compound. So that really helps. These knee sections here also move quite a bit, so it allows you again to ankle, to pose. There's not a lot of ankle rocking motion here. It's very, very small. The travel is very limited. It would have been better if they could get it happening a bit more, but I don't know. Maybe for that sort of money, I don't know whether they could have improved that there. Double knee joints, double elbow joints. We can bring the arms all the way up like that. So that's pretty good range of motion. And obviously, my favorite bit, obviously, are the articulated fingers as well. So for a large, sizable figure, they've done pretty well, in my opinion, I think.
Hey, Clint, we should get around to putting on an alternate head because that's freaking me out.
Okay, sure. Which head would you like to see, Craig? Let's talk about what it came with. Well,
before we jump onto that, I've just brought up the close-up photo of the hands, so you can see how much articulation is actually packed into that hand. There's joints galore. I'm just going to call him Joints Ahoy.
Joints Ahoy. It's really well done, isn't it? Look at that.
Does the
it's
thumb
amazing.
rotate?
It does.
Like I can see that
Yeah.
It does. Look at that. I'm rotating the arm right now. Sorry, the thumb. You can get it. You get it a bit retarded like that if you want, but it does rotate. Pretty good. You can give him the obligatory pointing finger thing as well. Not the bad one, the good one. Like
No.
Send it.
Everyone will use the bad one. That's just how the internet works.
Send it. There we go. Send it, guys.
Ah, there's a question
Very
from
good.
David Gibbons, which I know is my daughter and her friends.
Yep.
So
What is the
David would
question?
like to know: do they make interchangeable pieces of a different color?
No, all the heads are different. We're going to see in a second. All the different heads are variations on the same sort of head. But good question.
Speaking of heads, I am going to put
Here's my
Master Mole on
Sentinel.
here because
My
it's
Sentinels,
freaking Craig
I
out.
just want to say, my Sentinel's hands have a lot less points of articulation than Clinton's, in that they have 0. This
But
is
he still looks happy to see us.
He does. He's very excited. But like this one, the head doesn't turn. The leg articulation's not that great. He's fine. Like he's 18, I think 18 inches tall. He does have a sound chip that I'm not going to press because it is so loud. It's insane. Hang on, I'll mute myself and you can see the lights, but I'm not doing the sound. It's so loud.
Yeah, see the lights. I think it comes with sound.
Yeah,
Oh,
only the
man.
lights light up. The eyes light up, sorry. But
Kyle has a good question.
Clinton,
That's
how
a
does it
classic.
feel to have a toy with bigger arms than yourself?
I don't care, man. I'm glad he's got big arms than me.
I would also just like to bring up just for a size comparison. I've got a photo ready to go on the screen share showing a standard Marvel Legends Cyclops in front of the Sentinel. And you see he does not even get up to his knees. This thing is just huge.
You know, the good thing about having an actual size Sentinel in scale now is not having to use force perspective in photography. I'm so excited about that.
not having to fake it.
Yeah, you don't have to fake it anymore.
Don't have to fake it. You can just make it.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, to do a rough size comparison before, like there's my 18-inch one with Cyclops, who comes to above the knee on the Sentinel that I've got, and then on Clinton's one, it's more down here.
Yeah. I'm gonna put this guy again, just comparatively, so you can have it. You can see that's the size of the figure, and
That's
that's
so crazy.
That's Scott. Hey, Scott.
Yep.
Good old Scott down there. Cool. Shall we move on to some of the other heads? Now you can see Master Mole heads on there at the moment.
We can. Can you give us a bit of a close up of the head and shoulders area at the moment?
The head and shoulders area?
Yeah, so we can see the Master
Bend
Mole
him at the
head.
knees and have him kneel on the table.
I know, have him kneel at the table. Yeah, there you go. Hey, kneel here. Ooh, there we go. It's
Kneel before. Well, it's not Zod, is it?
Us. Yeah, that's
There you
really
go.
nice, the Master Mold head.
Mm.
So for those who may not know, a Master Mold in the X-Men is a bigger Sentinel that makes other regular size Sentinels. And controls them to an extent.
Where was he, in which comic was he introduced, Craig? Do you know specifically?
Master Mold? I don't know about Master Mold. The Sentinels came in X-Men 14, which was 1965. That was when the first Sentinels showed up. This particular version of the Sentinel very briefly appears in the recent House of X, Powers of X soft reboot of the X-Men books that happened in 2018, I believe. And but Master Mold himself, I'm not 100% sure. Somewhere in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s.
Cool.
So the
there we go,
Master Mold
Master
head
Mold.
accessory was the tier 1 reward for
Yeah.
for the crowdfunding campaign for this guy. Should we talk a little bit about tier 2, which is the battle damaged head and hand?
Sure. I'll put it on. In the meantime, I think that was something that I was a bit baffled.
Can you hold up the battle damaged head closer to the camera?
I will. I'll
Just
do that
before you
now.
put it on. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that now. I'm just going to say something, just a little observation. I'll show you guys that first. So that's a very nice piece.
It's really
Very
cool.
well done, well painted, well sculpted. You can see all the wiring on top of it. Half the metal and the steel is busted open here. There's still a bit of wiring detail underneath as well, which is really
It's
cool.
really nicely painted too.
Massive
it's really
cavity.
good.
Another ashtray for Carl Wessling, which is good. You can
It's
wedge.
fun,
You
it's
can,
kinda
we
good.
can,
It's a
Yeah.
bargain, all these ashtrays.
You
you can wedge a cigarette in there. Yeah, absolutely. But what's really interesting is this. The second tier was the battle damage head with the battle damage hand, and this is a nice piece as well. There you go.
Now, is that articulated?
I
No,
don't
it
think so,
isn't.
is it?
No, it isn't. It isn't. So. Yeah.
But you can swap that hand onto the main body.
Yes, you can. One interesting observation. I don't know for whatever reason this has happened. Maybe it's just me being completely OCD. Simon, you probably could relate to this because you are Mr. OCD yourself. Is that I noticed that there's a slight size difference between the regular head and the battle damage head. I don't know.
Is this
why
like
that
when you go
is.
to Woolies and you buy a 300 gram thing of mince and it's only 295 grams?
Yeah,
Yes, it's
Yeah,
just
it's
like
weird.
that.
I thought so. Yeah,
I don't know.
I appreciate
That's
it.
the
It seems
only-
like
Only logical
it just seems-
comparison.
Those 10
Yeah.
grams of mince add up over a few years, believe me.
It's great.
I know. Look at the size of the head.
yeah. And obviously, a Master Mole head compared to the regular Sentinel head. There's the difference. There we go.
Yeah.
Makes
Can
sense
you show
because
us-
Master Mole.
Can we see the back of the Master Mold head?
Sure. There we go.
I'm not completely
So much
sold on the
detail.
Master Mold head. It's very Kirby-esque, whereas the actual body of the robot we got there is very much Jim Lee 90s kind of look.
Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting that you picked that up, Simon.
I feel like the tier rewards are just sort of references to other Sentinels rather than intending to actually be them. So that's why, like, you've got an obviously sort of main Sentinel body, and it's like, well, we'll give you a Master Mold head, we'll give you a Tri-Sentinel head, we'll give you a battle damaged head. You know, they're just sort of additional niceties that you can put on it.
I'm of the opinion that the tier rewards weren't anything that would. If you were on the borderline about getting the Sentinel, I don't think those tier rewards were anything that would go right. I'm definitely in. Like I don't.
This is a thing with Haslab's crowdfunding campaigns though. Like the tier rewards are kind of stuff that you really wish was in the box anyway. Like they're doing it again with the Transformers Victory Saber. It's like the first tier reward is you get a gun, and I'm like, well, I would like a gun with the figure anyway.
Simon and I are both of the opinion that with the tier or the rewards, rather than get, and this is just our opinion, right? I mean, everyone has, it's quite subjective because people, might like this and this. I'm not particularly a big fan of the Tri-Sentinel head. Simon and I were actually, we both agreed that we could have, Simon, would you like to elaborate? What you thought could have been a better reward?
I would have said, if it was for my money, if I was behind this and I had a say in it, I would have asked for a Bolivar Trask figure. Like, that's not one that is really going to sell in the Marvel mainline. Like, it's a suited guy. Yeah, like you said, he looks a lot like Alfred, Batman's butler.
I actually would also like to know who Bolivar Trask is, because you have to remember I'm the Transformers guy.
He's the guy who invented the Sentinels.
Yeah. He's Peter Dinklage played him in the movie.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking about that, but I just wanted to confirm.
Although he wasn't a dwarf in the Marvel in the comics.
Craig, if I can stop you there, little person. Thank you.
All right.
Little person.
He wasn't a dwarf in the Little People. I don't know.
I don't know what's PC anymore.
So speaking of Bolivar Trask, you could custom make your own Bolivar Trask if you had like a Marvel Legends suited body or something. I actually found this Alfred figure here, and if you look at some of the art online as far as Bolivar Trask is concerned, he kind of resembles. I mean, other than being Alfred from DC, you could probably use that head. So I thought that would be an interesting little custom to do. And Craig, you probably have some ideas as far as.
I thought we just established that I could make a Bolivar Trask from a Tyrion Lannister figure.
Yes.
It depends if you want a movie version.
Correct. Sorry, I was referring to a comic version. Yeah.
Look, I'm sure it's going to be much easier to get your hands on a Tyrion.
I've seen
at this price point, they should have included both.
Yeah.
I've seen some very good customs from a Tyrion Lannister figure of the Bolivar Trask from the X-Men movie.
While we are talking about rewards, Rob has a question, which is: did this project actually meet all of its goals to unlock all of its rewards? I believe it did.
Yes,
it did.
But Hasbro play it close to the chest. They don't reveal like the stretch rewards beforehand. You know, it's like it ticks past a certain number, and they say, "Oh, you're getting this now." Like,
right. I mean, there are a lot of crowdfunding projects that do that. That's not super unusual.
I know, but you would think this sort of project from this sort of company, you would think this was well planned out. Like, you'd at least get a silhouette, of potential, stretch goals.
Yeah, I mean, they did for Galactus. We saw silhouettes of the first 2 stretch goals, and then the third one was revealed. I think they got. Because with Galactus, there was a bit of a wait for the first one and the second stretch goal. And then from the second stretch goal onwards, it was just like this. And I think they got caught out. Like, before they could have a teaser ready, it had hit the next stretch goal. So
maybe it does have something to do with the popularity of the campaign. I do think that there is a consideration of how much effort they actually put in to designing and building the thing that will be the stretch goal, given that it might not actually make it. So you do want to be a little bit careful about how much effort they actually put into it up front.
Yep.
So have you put the hand on? I was looking at something else.
No, I haven't put the hand on actually. Shall I try and see how difficult it's going to be?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it. I've got to cradle this guy like a baby, obviously, and I would assume that I'm putting the right hand on.
It's better than putting the wrong hand on.
Oh, the peg's in the hand. Okay, so the peg's in the hand, so it's the same as the regular size Legends. Interesting.
There you go. That was actually really easy to put on.
Yeah.
Yes. So you don't have to faff around with it.
What's the peg like on the ordinary hand? Is that going to go to distance over time?
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
It's huge.
Send it. It's huge. Very big, very robust.
It's going to be fine.
Send it. Send it, guys. There you go.
Phone home, indeed.
We've got a couple of questions.
While we're on the topic of things that we would have preferred to see, we've talked about Bolivar Trask. Rob Franklin has said, "I'm surprised it doesn't have a hand variant that has the capture coils that you often see in the comics and cartoons." That's also a good point.
Very good pickup.
Yeah.
Very good pickup. Yeah, absolutely freaking good pickup. Capture coils, man. Speaking of which, this nice hunk of metal is supposedly in lore 7 tons. And it can hold a payload of about 2 tons. So there you go. It has a flight radius of about 400 miles. And he's going to go out there and destroy and kill X-Men. Mutants. Pretty cool, huh? That's the nerd part. Anyway.
That was expertly rattled off. Thank you.
Yes.
We have some questions actually. If,
I was going to say, perhaps you could pull out the last accessory, seeing as someone brought up a question just not so long ago about the tentacle.
The tentacle, yes. Okay, so let's find out if the tentacles. So they ship in the styrofoam box with the tentacles straight, and I think we were going to try and work out if they were bendy or not. And I got to say, I love the smell of plastic.
Smells like Hasbro.
Smell it, man. I think Carl Weston
like
might
Hasbro?
appreciate that too, with his Mountain Dew. There we go.
Yeah.
Nice bendy. There
So
you go. You can do a nice.
what is that actually made of? Is it rubber with a metal frame, or
Yes.
is there something
It's
to it?
very, very soft rubber.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go. Nice sine wave for you. Perfect sine wave.
And so again, because I'm the thick one when it comes to Marvel Legends and X-Men, are these tentacles that we're looking at? Are these the capture coils that Rob was referring to?
Yeah, in the comics and more memorably in the cartoon, where they couldn't just shoot everybody, the tentacles would hold up a hand, and the Sentinels. Did I say the tentacles would hold up a hand? The Sentinels would hold up a hand, and the coil comes out of the hand and then wraps around its target in order to capture.
Right. And so,
capture coils,
can these tentacles and / capture coils, can these actually attach to the hands?
Yes, they can. They're meant
Clinton,
to. So you have.
Could you wrap up a Marvel Legend and plug it into the hand and show it if it supports the weight? Okay.
It's time to catch
Sure.
the cyclops.
Sure. All right. Let me do that. Let's do that and see. Definitely not on the battle damage side. I will lift this side up.
Yeah, no, the battle damage side, I noticed that when you held it up, that it doesn't have the hole for the tentacle to go in.
Yeah.
No, we want
Chris,
to put it in
Chris says he thought you were
Wrap
going
it-
to start to smoke it like a cigar after smelling the tentacles like that.
What do you want me to do?
Cyclops up with the tentacle and then plug the tentacle in.
Oh, okay. So it holds the weight. You can see it holds the weight. But plug the thing in. Okay. All right.
No,
all right.
I'd wrap it around the figure and then plug it in.
Yeah, I tried wrapping him up first.
Okay. I got you.
I believe
I
you
also-
can. I've seen photos of it done, so I would.
How rigid is the actual tentacle? Like, will it hold that weight of that figure?
Oh yeah.
Well, we'll find out shortly.
I mean, I presume that the
to
wire's
this week
not
on
bendy
Mythbusters.
enough for you to do a right angle and snap it or something like that.
No, you'd have to
imagine
work
it's
pretty
got
hard.
some give in it.
The tentacles are quite rubbery though. I can't assume that they would have the wiring in there would be too rigid because I think it would snap. I think I don't know. I'll have to experiment with it once I start doing all my photos. But let's just see if it's going to hold the weight. Now, naturally, law of physics, it probably will hold the weight, but it's going to make the figure front heavy. So let's just find out to see if that's the case. He's holding him upside down, and there you go, gentlemen. That's roughly a very bad example of him holding.
Yeah, I mean,
but
done
you can see.
quickly,
Done very quickly.
Yeah, nice.
So, yeah, pretty cool.
I imagine you could probably have one coil from each hand holding the figure dead center in front of him as well.
Yeah.
That would probably work out quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes for a very good
Have
picture. Actually, a
Wolverine
photograph.
stretched out between. I nearly knocked mine off the desk.
At least that gives you a few options for display.
It does. It does.
It does. So the tentacles, they were part of the tier 4 rewards, were they?
Yeah. No,
No,
they were
just
with the
they.
battle damage.
Oh, okay, right. So
No.
the battle damage head in hand.
Oh,
and
were they just coming with it?
No. They came with the figure, so they had
okay.
nothing to do with the tiers.
So
I mean,
they were
the
never a
tentacles.
stretch goal.
Okay.
They were never a
just
stretch goal. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a
So,
while.
well, let's talk about some of the tier goals as well, or some of the tier levels, because it did come with some other things other than the multiple heads and the battle damage hand. It came with 2 figures. Now, the first figure I think we want to look at is, take your pick, Craig. Which one shall we look at?
Well, let's start with Bastian because he's an actual character.
Okay, I'm going off screen for a second because I'm trying to find the head sculpt, which seemed to have disappeared somewhere. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you Bastian real quick, and that's Bastian. So
Bastian, for those who may not know, he is a human Sentinel hybrid. He first appeared in X-Men Volume 2, number 52 in 1996. But he's kind of most known for the story Operation Zero Tolerance, which ran from X-Factor 130 in 1997 until X-Men Volume 2, Issue 70 in 1997, across multiple X books. He is basically like a small Sentinel robot, so strength, speed, agility. He's got lasers and all that sort of robot-y stuff. He can control and take over other machines, and he can reformat himself to look more humanoid.
And on that note,
Operation Zero Tolerance is also the way that I operate on Twitter, just so that people know.
That's right.
I think the big question
is,
how do you grow a beard on a metal chin?
Well, he's part organic.
Mate, have you seen half the Transformers that came after the movie?
Yeah.
Let me try and see if I can go closer. Can you see that?
It's actually
that's really good.
Yeah.
It's a good-looking head. I like that a lot.
The sculpt is incredible. It's hyper detailed too for a small and I don't know, I might be wrong, Craig, but I feel like Marvel Legends have really upped their game as far as the quality and sculpt of the figures are concerned. I guess you want to be doing that particularly when you're paying about $700 for something like this. But speaking of which, go for it.
Before we get to go on.
Sorry, no, go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, while we're talking about sort of like the figures and value, because Chris says that these smaller figures make me regret not getting the Sentinel. And this is actually a conversation that Craig, you and I had about Galactus as well, because you sort of rationalised the price of Galactus against the number of 6-inch Marvel Legends figures that he comes with as well. So, like every figure that gets packed in with the figure essentially reduces the purchase price of the main big figure as well.
Right, Galactus is coming with 3 Heralds: Nova, the second Nova Frankie Ray, Silver Surfer, and Morg. All 3 of them. An exclusive figure on average for Marvel Legends is about $55-$60 Australian. So by getting 3, we knock off $165 Australian, which brings the $800 Sentinel suddenly down to, $645. As we're going to get to when we talk about the last stretch goal, well, we did already, the Tri-Sentinel head, which I think is not a great stretch goal. With Galactus, it's a Doctor Doom head from this one story one time. No one I know is going to display Galactus permanently as Doctor Doom, except our buddy Liam, maybe. But generally speaking, I think it's really interesting that the first 3 stretch goals for both have been figure accessories, like extra characters, rather than extra bits. Because I don't think... Was Bastian always coming with it? Or he wasn't a stretch goal.
No,
Bastian
Bastian was never going to come with it. In fact, Bastian was always going to be part of a tier 3 or tier 2 or whatever it was, stretch goal for sure.
There's another figure as well.
There is another figure which we're going to look at. But before we go and look at the next figure, just reminder to everyone that the Bastian figure does come, but it also has a generic Prime Sentinel head. So what you could do effectively with Bastian is to swap the heads, and then you have a Prime Sentinel as well. And which kind of begs the question as in why they didn't actually include another body, because I felt that would have been good value if they included, for example, another body where you could use the Prime, which I mean, there's no possible way unless you buy multiples, or like, if people buy multiples of the Sentinel.
I think that's why they did it. I think it's so that if you buy multiple Sentinels, rather than having 7 Bastions, you've got one Bastian and 6 other generic Sentinels behind. That was part of the thing that Bastian could do, is he could turn people into these. They looked and acted like normal humans. They're essentially sleeper agents, and then when he wanted them to, they would turn into Prime Sentinels. We may as well, since we're talking about it, the other version of the Prime Sentinel that came as well, which was a stretch goal release.
Okay, let's look at
let's move on to tier 3.
Let's look at the female Prime Sentinel figure. And
So
she's
she was featured in a lot of the artwork. Like she's fairly prominently shown in a lot of the art when you look at the comic itself. But she's not named or anything. She was just, I think, a more distinct looking generic trooper. If you were going to do a second one, I can absolutely see why she is the second choice you would make.
Craig, I wanted to ask, you'd probably know this, with that female one, is the upper body and neck, is that reuse or is that a unique piece?
Clinton, hold it up again. I couldn't tell. I wasn't looking for that specifically.
we're talking about the buck. Does that buck look actually familiar to you?
The rest of the buck is not, but the neck, which I would think is part of the torso, I would say the upper torso and neck are new, and the head is new. The rest of the is reused.
I thought as much. Obviously, they're not going to redesign a female body just for that. But
with Bastian Nears, I could tell the waist, the head, or both heads, and the chest were new. I'm pretty sure everything else is reuse.
If you get a close up of him, he's got some sculpted detail down the side of the torso, hasn't he?
Yeah, he
does.
So
that whole upper torso, and the waist too. Yeah.
Well, sorry, I meant the upper torso. So yeah, the from the sort of the waist swivel upwards is all new, and both heads are new.
So I've swapped over the Bastian head to the generic Prime Sentinel.
That's cool. I actually hadn't seen the Prime Sentinel at all. I don't think I've even seen pictures of it. So that's really cool.
Yeah. This will be so cool to army build. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Lovely figure.
If only someone had multiples.
Well, someone's selling one of their multiple Bastions to me, so don't give him too many ideas.
Cool. All right. Well, we've had a look at a lot of the accessories that come with it. I mean, all in all, I want to gather your thoughts as far as what we think is a win or a loss. But before we do that, I want to swing over to Jason. Jason, where was it available when it first was announced? Do you want to just quickly elaborate?
Oh well,
for anyone thinking about purchasing these.
So like any Haslab product, it's available on the Hasbro Pulse website. If you're in America or if you are in the UK now, Pulse now operates in Europe. Us poor sods in Australia, we don't get Hasbro Pulse here, which is it's been especially controversial for us Transformers fans this week as well, as new figures have been announced. What has been happening with Haslab figures in Australia, though, is that they end up released at EB Games and Zing Pop Culture, and I think we've been treated pretty well by these companies for local releases of these figures. So the Haslab Unicron that was released earlier this year, we had pretty much the best deal on the planet for that figure. We had the American price converted to Australia. There was no Australia tax on it, and we got 2 years to pay it off after putting down our pre-order deposit. The poor guys in America who back the project have to pay within a month and then wait 18 months for it. And so,
Jason, I would say there too, we also got a very good deal because if you picked up from EB Zing, you paid no postage. And for something like the size of Unicron, to be able to just go to your local Zing, which are pretty much everywhere in every suburb, that was a really good deal.
I think they've probably fixed this since then. But when I pre-ordered my my Unicron, because surprise Transformers guy, I ordered a Unicron from Zing. The postage was given on the site as $6.
There you go.
I suspect it did not cost them $6 to post it, but there we go. So for Australia, we had the Sentinel available from EB and Zing. I think it was it $650, Clinton? I'm not quite sure.
From Zing?
Yeah,
I think it was
$6.99.
Yeah.
$6.99. Oh, right, yeah. So $6.99. So $700. Now, what has been happening with Haslab products? As we said, like the crowd funds are only available in the US and now the UK as well. So what ends up happening is that the product does end up going up for pre-order in and around Asia from various retailers, and so we've been dealing with a couple of stores in Singapore, and that's where this figure was imported from Singapore, and so what ends up happening with the Singaporean deals is that the stores will pre-order according to the numbers. So the numbers go into the crowdfunding. So the 21,886 backers that were shown on screen before, this was one of them. It was just a pre-order instead of an actual crowdfund campaign backing. And when they come out, some of the stores order a few extra because they know that there'll be a few people who didn't back the crowdfund but do want to jump on board, and that's how we've acquired this guy.
Okay. Just a quick note here. I almost broke this this little thumb here, because they look like they're actually on joints that are articulated, but I am twisting this terribly. It felt like it was literally going to snap off. So keep in mind that
That's
when you do
hand.
try, it's a broken hand. So even though it does look like there were little joints here, they don't. So I almost basically, you can see, probably almost took a tumble over there. So it doesn't articulate. So don't break it off, basically.
I will note that was the knees just bent backwards on yours. He tilted back at the knees and fell.
Time to reach for that Phillips head, Clinton.
Yeah, where's the Phillips head? Have you got one?
Everyone does. We all do. We all do.
So on that note, I guess I got to ask the question. Most of you guys, I mean, some of you guys have seen it in the flesh. Some of you guys are waiting for it. What are your thoughts? Is this something that, given the price tag, would you buy or would you not buy? And that is the question. How hardcore of a fan are you?
I have bought it. I bought two. I was Zing. I'm just waiting, and I'm really jealous that you've got yours now, and I don't know when the Zing ones are turning up.
Yeah,
they'll turn up pretty soon. I mean, generally, it's to do with proximity to where it's manufactured. So,
I want it now.
They get to Asia faster, and then they're on a boat that comes here. It's just like a ship that sails along, just like throwing sentinels to shore as it circumnavigates the globe.
That explains a lot about some of the parcels I receive.
It does, yeah. So in answer to your question, I'm going to defer to Andrew Ian in the chat. He says 100% would buy if I was a Marvel guy. I'm not a Marvel guy, but I do think it's extremely impressive. And also, I am a giant robot guy, so like I'm very impressed from that perspective as well. But it doesn't have a place in my collection.
It doesn't have a place in collection. But could I convince you at some point that you need one of these?
Probably not.
Come on. I got you into Star Wars. I got you into Rebels. You succumbed, and you did get some Rebels.
You didn't get me into Rebels, actually. Craig did.
Well, there you go.
And
I
just want to say this. Jason, don't buy a Sentinel because you would regret it. You would be looking at it, you'd be like, this is big and awesome. I have nowhere to put it, and you would sell it very quickly.
Absolutely correct.
Well, Carl Wessling says that from a business point of view, they're always a great buy. So any of these things that you buy into, because some of the things that go onto the secondary market is ridiculous. I can't work it out.
Would anyone like to buy a Unicron?
That is actually a good point. I will actually just point out that the place that we bought the Sentinel from is fast becoming famous amongst a group of us for finding things in their storeroom. And the other day, they did message me and say that they found 2 Unicrons in their storeroom and asked if I wanted any of them.
There you go.
I don't know how you misplace a Unicron.
I was going to say, what was that, holding up a shelf? Like, how do you miss?
Yes. I think it must have been a support. I actually wonder, because they seem to have the boxes around for packing things. I think they might have thought that they were empty boxes, but they're not. So, look, the aftermarket or after crowdfund or after pre-sale price of these things,
still aftermarket.
It's likely to go up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you want to buy this and you want to get it at the cheapest possible price, you pretty much have to buy it now, because in 6 months' time, in 2 months' time, next week, the price on these things is going to start going up.
So to answer the question of would I buy one earlier, I didn't, despite being a big Marvel fan, because I knew that for me, I would want to do what Clint has done basically and buy several, because Sentinels aren't the sort of thing that attack singularly. You have an army of them coming at you, and that's part of, the threat of them is that there's a whole bunch. And I didn't have the money or the space for that with all of the other things I collect. So I said no. I have backed Galactus because Galactus is a one-off. Like, I can just get the one. I don't need another one to be Doctor Doom.
You don't need an army of Galactuses.
I believe it's an army of Galacti.
That's actually not correct. It is Galactuses.
Galactuses?
No.
I believe that's what you put around a large space. It's Galactuses when you write it. But yeah, I think if I had, it's one of those, if I had all the time and the money and space in the world, yeah, I'd probably have gotten, say, 4, maybe 5. As someone in the chat said earlier, 1 to be a master mold, and then 4 to be Sentinels. I think that would look amazing. But I just Kyle in the chat just said he bought 2 Galacti, but
maybe 3. Hey, Carl, maybe 3.
Maybe 3.
But no, I think that I think it's a fantastic piece, and if you're a big X-Men fan, it's a must-have. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. The only 2 things to watch out for: the knees, which we've mentioned, and I know of a couple of people who've had issues with paint, where they've gotten it out of the box and the tissue paper that's sealing it has stuck to the paint slightly, and when they've pulled it, it's pulled the paint off.
Oh, wow.
So that didn't happen to Clint's, but when you're getting it out of the box, just be aware that can be a concern. A friend of mine has a white, like a chip on the shoulder from that, and there was someone on the Fush boards that I'm a part of who showed photos of the paint just coming off on the tissue paper. So do be aware of that.
Well, but Craig, does it really matter? Because if you get one of these, you're going to panel line it and weather it anyway, right?
If I got one, sure, but other people might want not to do that. So, I would just fix it, but other people may not want that.
Look, it does sort of call to account the question of quality control as well. You shouldn't have to fix a $700 figure.
Were there any Unicron problems?
Strongly
Were there
agree.
any recurring QC issues with Unicron? I didn't hear
Not
of
that I
any,
know of.
but I also wasn't
Not
paying attention.
that we heard. No.
No,
Yeah.
the
Actually-
main issue with Unicron is that the instructions were terrible.
And I
Yeah,
believe
they were.
the sail barge was okay too. So I mean, fingers crossed that stays true. What's next?
We got a question. We got a question. Rob Franklin says, "Does the figure match what you saw in the original promotion photos?" Yes, it does.
Yes.
In a nutshell, I'm very happy with it. Pretty surprised
Nice.
because most promotional photos are generally they're retouched and they look pretty good. It's always tweaked, but when I actually pulled it out, smell the plastic, man. I love that smell. It was really good. It was really good. I was actually blown away.
I look forward to someone doing the supercut of Clinton smelling the various parts of the Sentinel.
David Stanley also asks, does it come with a broken arm version? So it does come with the battle damaged hand, but I don't think there's any custom broken arm that comes with it.
Can you bring it forward, Clint? Because you put the battle damage hand on, but I don't think you ever showed it up close with the hand on.
Sure.
So
No
maybe
problem.
just bring it in to have a look.
The shot. There we go. There we can see that in the frame. There we go.
Yeah.
That's actually especially good because you can see the other hand is outstretched, or you can see the battle damaged hand is
Right.
shorter fingers and the like.
Yeah, it's
And the
very,
inside,
very well done.
the center part that you plug the tentacle into on the other one has a crack in it, and it's all messed up. And there's I don't know if you noticed on the head, there's things like claw marks. They're obviously like Wolverine's claws have scratched part of it.
On the
and
battle damage ones?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the head. Yeah, I don't know about the hand. Certainly on the head there is. But I love little details like that. Like that it's not just damage, it's specific to the X-Men, having 3 parallel claws. Of course, that's Wolverine.
I'm going to pull them out. Now,
was the
they
other
do...
question?
This went well earlier.
Yeah, I know, right?
Some heads do. This one is a bit more difficult to take off for some reason, but yeah, I don't know what it is. It could be just the temperature or something. I'm going to try that. We had another question.
There's a couple of questions, a couple of comments. Kyle actually says those hands are big enough to choke a plush Ewok.
Oh gosh.
Kyle is my twin brother, for those who don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
I will say, like the assembly, it's uncanny.
I know.
It is.
Oh, we know.
Yeah.
Here we go.
But if you
and
know Kyle,
nice
he
look at the
measures
battle damage
everything
on the
in
head.
plush Ewoks.
I was going to say, Kyle uses the scale of plush Ewoks regularly. There, you can see it just over the. I'm pointing like anyone can see what I'm pointing at. You can see it over the eyebrow and over the side of the head. There's like 3 parallel claw marks going into the damage on the top of the head.
I do want to actually just call to mind a comment that came up a while ago, actually from Andrew, saying that Hasbro head sculpts are getting really good, and I think that's actually worth calling out just across the board. We've seen this this year in Transformers. We've seen it in G.I. Joe. We're looking at some crazy good head sculpts on this, both on the main figure and on the packed in 6-inch figures as well. There's just a huge amount of detail that's starting to come into these figures, and it's really great to see.
Well, that's one of those things. That's like a creep. Once you start doing that, you can't go backwards.
Right.
You have to keep going forward and getting better.
I mean sorry.
I think that like going back, the G.I. Joe classified line has been one of the real highlights of this year.
Gorgeous.
Just the sculpts are
Trees,
incredible. And I know I've had this conversation with Clinton before, that I think that the sculpts on that make the Marvel Legends look a little bit soft, if you ask me. Like there's just so much detail in the fabrics and
They do. It's worth noting they also cost $10 more US, or $5 or $10 more US per figure.
But you're also getting accessories. Most of the time with a Marvel Legend, if you're lucky, you get the same energy blast, that you've got on 20 other figures. There's not a lot of variety on stuff there. I've got, Roadblock there. You're getting the web gear, a helmet, a giant Gatling gun. You've got, holster, extra gun. There's some value there.
I do think the Legends work has been very good. I've gotten some of my favorite Legends ever this year. The second Age of Apocalypse wave, which only just came out, is phenomenal. Might be my favorite wave of Legends for the last couple of years. I mean, I have a lot.
MODOK too. That was an amazing figure. The MODOK.
I've got MODOKs right here, but yeah.
Now speaking of weapons of Legends waves, I'm not sure if we actually alluded to the box art before. I know we didn't. We didn't, and this is important because I think this is a prelude, or perhaps even imply that the Sentinel is going to come into or appear in the new range. So why don't you elaborate on that, Craig, with the new wave?
So this came up earlier when we were talking about the box art, and one of the things I just was offhand mentioning that I thought was interesting. You can see here, this is the front of the box. That the Sentinel comes in. The rear of the box, the bottom part is basically the same. You can see the strange symbols there below X-Men. That's actually the language Krakoan, which in the current X-Men books is the language of Krakoa, where all mutants live. They have their own island nation now, on the nation of Krakoa. And so that's what that text is at the bottom there. What I think is interesting about the box art, Jace, if you could go to that shot of the entire page. So here it is. This is the full box art wraparound. The artist is Pepe Larraz. I hope I'm saying that right, but I believe it's Pepe Larraz, who is the primary artist for the current House of X, Powers of X book series. The Sentinels that you see, you can see on the far left, you've got the Master Mold head. Then Bastian, who we've talked about. They come in the sets that we're talking about. The figures, though, the actual X-Men shown are Wolverine, Magneto, who is an X-Men now, who is fighting the Omega Sentinel, another character who's been around a while, and she's a villain at the moment. Below her is Professor X in the black bodysuit with the helmet and the pink sort of energy around. Next to him is Moira McTaggart. Then off to the left, you have Jean Grey, Cyclops, and then a few different Sentinels, including the female Prime Sentinel that we talked about earlier. What's interesting is that all of these are in their current day costumes. So while the Sentinel is somewhat billed as a classic piece, and Bastian and the Prime Sentinel are, as I said, from the 90s and sport their 90s looks, the box art is absolutely showing modern versions, and in fact is actually a wave, the exact characters that were in a wave that was just released. So if you got the Sentinel this year, you could also have every figure on this cover. You could almost, I mean, I guess if you were really good at photography and angles, Clinton, you could try and recreate this cover exactly.
Ooh, challenge.
The only trick is that Moira's not in the same... Like, the Moira shown next to Professor X is different to the one that the toy is from, but everything else is exactly the same. It's a really, really nice piece, and Pepe Larraz's art has really defined the Krakoan era of X-Men that's been running the last few years. To give you an idea of how popular it is, the original Jonathan Hickman is the writer who put the new X books together, the House of X, what's called the House of X era, a lot of people call, or the Hoxpox, because the first two books out were House of X and Powers of 10, Hoxpox. So if you ever hear someone say Hoxpox or House of X, that's what they're referring to. Jonathan Hickman put this together with all the mutants being on Krakoa, started this epic storyline that he said, okay, it's got 3 acts, they're a bit open-ended and they can extend. Well, a month or two ago, he's actually decided to leave the X books and he's moving on to something else, because all the writers and artists are having so much fun working on the current era of X-Men that they don't want to move on to the next part of the story. They're just like, no, let's just leave it like this. I think we've got it good. And so there's a storyline that's happening now, which Hickman has said is a slight retroactive version of, like, sets a few things in place so that if he ever wants to come back to it, he can, but closes a few loops that need to be closed in the short term. And then we're just continuing on as is. So the fact that they went with the modern art, I think, is really interesting and really telling of the resurgence in X-Men's popularity.
Well said. Well said. Great. Wonderful. I think also there's obviously possibly also a business decision, and a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sort of a bit more lateral thinking, planning in terms of what we will see in the future. So on that note, gentlemen, I just want to ask you before we close, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. So thank you for joining us tonight. Really, I'm super excited still about the figure while it's in my possession, and I'm actually looking forward to several more. Like I said, to recreate the photographs. I guess the overall rating
could be any number.
Clinton knows. Clinton's nose knows.
I think Simon will be fairly close behind me, because I think at some point I'm going to convince my friend and OCD partner in crime that he should have as many as possible as well, because Simon understands my sickness.
Yeah,
he does.
I understand.
Also, I can see gaps on Simon's wall where he can fit more Sentinels.
That's where the door opens. There's no more room.
You haven't put shelves on the back of the door.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Tell me what it's like to have an addiction to having too many Marvel Legends characters. I'm not quite sure I can fully appreciate. Yeah, that's not all of it either. I've got 5 Billies. There's these one on another shelf, and above my desk. So it wraps around the room.
Okay. So on that note, what's the overall impression and your personal ratings? Again, what are your thoughts in terms of what we've seen so far and the countless amount of videos online, and also our quick look today. Even though not quite in hand, but I have it in hand. I'm not going to give you my overall rating because I think I might be a bit biased.
Can fly.
I've got no regrets.
Carl's
no regrets
about where you're touching that Sentinel, though.
I know, it's the best way to carry it.
That's what I tried saying that, and they wouldn't let me out of court. But I would say that he's a good. I'd say he's a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. I think the knee issue is prevalent enough that it is worth mentioning, and the paint issue, as I said. But for the price and the amount of things it can do, and the sheer presence on the shelf, I think it's a fantastic piece. And if X-Men was like my prime love, I'm more of a Spider-Man guy, but if X-Men was my prime love, I would absolutely have gotten 2 or 3 of these. No question.
Okay.
I would say
What about you, Simon?
my only criticism is if you're going to go and put light functions in, put a sound function in as well. Otherwise, don't bother. I do like a little bit of a power up or a whoosh, some sort of noise. I don't play with the electronics a lot once I've got these things, but Exactly. Look, how many years on, and he's still having fun with that.
What about you,
comment.
Jason? On that note, can I still possibly convince you to get one?
Look, I don't have any skin in this game, so I don't have a rating for it. It's an impressive figure. The thing that I'm actually just really looking forward to, and the thing that I'm most excited about getting this into your hands, is looking for a follow-up to the photo that you took of all of the X-Men characters outside your X-Mansion diorama the other night, and actually seeing a Sentinel coming over the top of the house on that. I'm looking forward to seeing what people do with this in X-Men related photos. Like I said, I'm not an X-Men person, but I know enough about them. And I'm looking forward to seeing some cool photos. I'm also really enjoying the funny photos. Like I said earlier, people dressing it up like a kid and putting a backpack on it and saying, we're sending the boy off to school and stuff. Like that kind of stuff. It's such good and wholesome fun, and it's kind of the thing that it's kind of lacking in some of the toy industry these days. People take themselves way too seriously.
Yeah,
Simon, I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, he started talking about wholesome fun, and I want that picture we talked about last night.
Oh God.
Okay. Well, this is PG, by the way, so we're going to keep it PG.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if my daughter's still watching, but just in case, let's not.
Yes.
But I was going to mention 2 things real fast. The first, my friend Carl Barker and I are both, who was in the chat earlier, I don't know if he's still on, he and I are both getting Galactus, and I have tried convincing him to let me take the kids to slides, and we're going to, take the kids down to the water and have them holding hands or looking out at the river and all sorts of fun like that. The second thing is, one of the last comments we have here is Rob Franklin saying, looking at the quality of work put into the Sentinel, I'm confident a Victory Saber will be just as good. I think that between the Star Wars one, Salvage, the Unicron, now the Sentinel, I think that Hasbro has done far more good than bad with these. I think I have every confidence going forward that they're only going to get better. I'm super excited for Galactus, and I can't wait to see when people start getting the Razor Crest, what sort of amazing pictures we're going to get from
the Razor Crest will be amazing.
Because the Razor Crest should be January. It's not far away at all. January.
It's not far away at all.
Yeah, the Razor Crest was due sort of about now, but I think it's slipped due to COVID. I also do want to just mention, as Rob brought it up, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, the Victory Saber crowdfund campaign that is currently going. It did reach 11,000 today, so it is officially going into production. It is funded.
Hey.
So now it's all about the stretch goals. Get us that gun, get us that stand, and get us whatever the heck else is coming as stretch goals. It was like number 3.
The last stretch goal. The last stretch goal is the one that you got to really enjoy. That's the one that traditionally has been that's your Tri-Sentinel head there. That's your Doom, your giant Doom head.
Maybe the 4th stretch goal for Victory Saber will just be a Doctor Doom head. Chris will be happy.
It's just a Doctor Doom head, yeah.
Yeah.
When are we going to get a classified Haslab project?
I've had my
classified.
I think they'd have to do one soon, surely.
I think that the reason that it hadn't happened up till now was they were waiting to see how the line took off.
I think it's proved itself.
Absolutely.
What do you reckon it'll be? Do you reckon it'll be the flag?
No. I feel like
we need
vehicles
for sure.
That's big enough for me to sleep on.
It'll be a vehicle.
I couldn't imagine a classified scale flag.
I would
have
love
the house for it.
I would love it to be something just like a Vamp or one of the Jeeps or Humvee type vehicles.
I'm thinking a Hiss tank, seeing as it's kind of the iconic kind of.
I think
Yeah,
his
that's
tank
probably a good
is the
point.
most likely. That's
Yeah.
that's.
I could
agree with
imagine
you,
seeing
Simon.
something like a trouble bubble or a Fang, like the smaller vehicles, actually being in the
I
line. Like
reckon-
they've done the
I
Ram
agree.
cycle.
Yeah, no,
Just
I
an
agree, and I reckon.
F111.
Yes, I know. Yeah, Andrew Lane said an F111. Well,
Yeah.
I figure the biggest one I could think of that's still vaguely realistic is a Sky Striker, and only because I've seen apparently there's a like not a model kit, like an RC F14 Tomcat that has just come out that is 1/12 scale, which means it is theoretically in scale for classified figures, and people have been going ballistic for it. So the biggest thing I can think of them doing is a Sky Striker with an Ace as the Ace is the pilot. Sky Striker.
Yeah. I'd be dubious about seeing Hasbro do that. Like that's.
I think with the Hasbro thing, I think everything is only going to get bigger. When you look at the stuff that's been brought out, size is not really an issue.
But Victory Saber's not bigger. It's more
But I'm
complicated.
talking. I'm talking about like maybe classifieds and some of the other Hasbro ranges. But Carl was saying maybe Slaughter Marauder. I don't know.
Slaughter's Marauders. Get out of here, Carl.
Yeah.
You're drunk.
with the tank.
The Rancor will definitely
The
be huge,
Rhino,
by the way.
the Rhino ATV, I'd buy that in classified sale. That was a fairly compact little vehicle.
But I generally think you were right the first time, Simon. I think if they're going to do a Haslab, I think his tank.
The his tank will test the waters to see if it's viable. Plus,
it's the most likely one.
If you look at one, like I'm looking at one right there, you're thinking like a guy laying down at the front. It'd only be about like a shoebox size, really. It'd be about a shoebox.
Yeah, maybe a little larger, but yeah, it's really it's certainly doable. Price wise, I would say it would be somewhere. It'd be closer to Victory Saber than.
Yeah, I think you'd be looking around the $200 marks, 250, 200.
Yeah, 253, depending on what it comes. Like if it comes with a pilot and a couple of other things, maybe
you'd have to have the his driver. I just presume,
Let's leave that. Let's leave that for a classified a thing one night. But on that note, saying that, I would like to maybe finish up and just thank everyone for joining us tonight. Now for all of us that are buying the Sentinels, we'll probably just have to find space for multiple Sentinels and where you're going to store them, God forbid.
Can you file them in like a filing cabinet or something? You just like line them up next to each other?
Well, look, I'm going to put it out there to our viewers and friends and fans of the group to see what would they like to see as far as the photograph is concerned, whether it's the singular Sentinel battling all the X-Men or multiple Sentinels. So
multiple Sentinels battling
the photo. So I'll leave that open, and please, if any of you viewers think you could come up with any ideas or what you'd like to see, make sure you put them in the comments. I would like to thank Craig for joining us tonight and joining the Toy Reel team.
Great.
Thank you so much. It was really good, very insightful too. I love it when people are very passionate about a particular property. Jason, as always, he polishes my turds. And Simon, you're a good man. Thanks for joining us. Always a wealth of knowledge.
Always a pleasure.
I love the fact that we are all very passionate and we love our toys. So that's very good. So from all of us, any parting words or closing as far as go buy Sentinel?
Buy Sentinels, indeed.
Other people will be able to view it after the fact. So
yes, people will be able to. Yeah.
If people want to get things like this, because they're never going to be carried in stores, if you want to see these things, you've got to support them.
Absolutely. Like Carl says, I've got 200 square meters. Yeah. All right, Carl. So if I get tired of the multiple Sentinels that I have, at some point you can buy them off me.
Yeah.
We might try to use some of that
Sentinel,
space.
you're just renting them.
Yeah. Might try and use 200 square meters for a photo.
Everything ends up at Kyle's eventually.
Rob's already said a single Sentinel versus the original 5 X-Men. Okay. Yeah, maybe we can collaborate. Rob, you'll have to maybe come to Sydney when it all opens up, and then we can do a photograph together. Cool. All right, guys. On that note, thank you so much, guys. Thanks to everyone for tuning in and for watching. Again, huge thanks to the guys involved. I also want to sing out to some of the Toy Reel guys that work behind the scenes. So we have Andrew and Mikey and Adam and several other guys that are always doing stuff behind the scenes, and it's certainly a good unit. So thanks again. everyone. And yeah, we appreciate you coming and watching. And thanks to Jason, Simon, and Craig. This is Toy Reel signing off. And we hope you have a great weekend coming ahead. Stay safe. Stay well.